Well, hello, and how do you do? Well, this is another episode of the Why Podcast, where, like you can assume, we ask questions that are usually uncommon or irregular, basically questioning the existing narratives, status quos, and norms that have formed fundamental foundations and pillars of our society today. Do I need to introduce myself? I think I'll just do that. My name is Amazing. So today we will be exploring the exciting conversation. It's exciting because it has to do with money. We're going to be looking at the loan shark saga, where we'll try to establish the fact if a Nigerian debtor, or take out the Nigeria in it, because I know people from different parts of the world will be watching this. Does a debtor truly have protection rights? And at what point does integrity end and exploitation begins? So I feel so excited when I'm surrounded with awesome men. And this episode, I'm blessed with that. And so where do I start?
Anyway,
I'm supposed to start with the guest, but no, I'm going to start with the fine gentleman by my side.
we are still guests.
On one of the episodes, they formed a quorum. When you watch it via our YouTube and social media pages, you know what I'm talking about. But Mr. Timbuk, how you feeling? How are you?
Good to be here. Thank you very much for having me. And I love to talk about money, so I'm sure that this would be an interesting episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Tido.
Yes, ma.
Okay. How you feeling?
I feel so good.
Okay. Well, you should feel good because we're trying to make some
Thank
money.
you.
Now it's time for us to say a big welcome to our guest. The Why Podcast always love guests, and this one is not an exception. Well, he's a solicitor and an advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Barrister Ben Ndedde is right here on the Why Podcast. Please, a round of applause, please. Welcome, Barrister.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
And just to announce, he's the first ever guest we have on the Y Podcast.
Interesting.
Well, I don't want to stress the producer, so let me reduce my excitement. Really, I'm so eager to have this conversation started. Well, gentlemen, when we talk about the taking of loan in the first place, in all honesty, some of the loans that we take, I don't know if any of us have taken loans before, are some of these loans actually essential? Or they're just done out of a whim, or, just that feeling of having what we'll call unsolicited money. But, when we try to measure the importance of some of the loans we take, are they truly that important, or it's just a random act that we do? So, Etimbuk, I think I should hear from you on that one.
Well, first, I don't take many loans. I can count how many times I've taken loans in my life.
Okay.
They're not many. They're not up to the number of fingers I have. And that's because I do not think that loans are the first. In fact, I don't believe in borrowing except borrowing for investment. I don't believe in borrowing for consumption. The few times I've borrowed, they have been because I had an opportunity to make money and I felt I needed money to make the money. And so I borrowed to put in and make the money. But I've been, maybe I should say, I've been more of a creditor than a debtor. Yeah.
Money back.
People borrow from me.
He's the one the Bible says you shall lend to nations.
Yes.
People borrow from
Amen.
Part of why I've not really borrowed much is because I don't believe that loans are, many times, I don't believe that loans are really the solution to our problem. Because you just quoted Bible. It also says that the borrower is slave to the lender. And that's a very practical thing. I've seen people say many times, I've seen people have people owe them, and then every time they have a problem, every time they run into issues, they will just say, if this person paid me my money, I wouldn't have had this issue. And sometimes it's just maybe 10,000 or 20,000 naira. And every time one day I ask someone, I say, if this person paid you your money, you would have finished the money by now, because it's like 5 things have come up now, and you keep saying that if you had that money, you would have solved. But you see, that's the thing. The slavery that it puts you even in the mind of that person, and all of that. But my point is, part of why I don't borrow much is because I don't think loans are really necessary. Most of the time, as a policy, I don't borrow for consumption. I feel that it's the easy way out, and that's why many people fall for it. Especially with the presence of loan apps, and the loan apps even pressurize you to borrow from them. I see things pop up.
The apps are just too much.
I see adverts pop up saying, with just a click, you can get 250,000 naira without any collateral. That makes borrowing looks so appealing and so attractive, and so many people fall for it. I don't think that it's that necessary. I don't think that the first thing you should think about when you have a problem is where to borrow money and how to borrow money. I feel that there are many other places that money. In fact, I feel that money lies around many places that we don't see because we're looking at the wrong places, and we're looking with the wrong lenses too. We're wearing the wrong lenses too. The reality is that you can even convert some of your valuables, sell them off if they are not as important to you as solving the problem that you're in. There are many ways to raise money. Borrowing money should always be a last resort. And so as a policy, I don't borrow for consumption, no matter how tight it is. I don't even borrow from myself. I don't borrow from my capital as a businessman. Is that serious? I can't borrow from my capital because I know that I'm borrowing from the future to consume today. So that's why I don't borrow. And I think that it has helped me so far so good. I don't think that most of the loans we take are really necessary.
All right, so Tito, I'm gonna put it this way. Okay. Could we say that most of the loans taken are as a result of the economy, or the pressure to take loans is as a result of the current economy, or just the fact that it exposes, the gross financial
responsibility,
inadequacies, or
of the borrower,
or illiteracy that is around.
In one of our episodes, I said something. You don't steal or you are not a thief because you steal.
You steal because you're a thief.
You steal because you're a thief. You don't act in a way because someone else has instigated you to act that way. You are acting because that's who you are. So when you are in a pressurized environment, what is truly inside of you will come out. So when you say if people are borrowing because of the economic factor, shockingly, the people that borrow is not because they lack money too much. It's not because that's their last resort. It's not. And again, if you look at what people are borrowing for, it's not to eat. It's not to eat. It's
for luxury.
I mean, people don't lack money to eat.
Can you categorically prove that?
Categorically controversial statements.
People don't lack. I'm serious. People don't lack money to eat. They may lack money to eat a good quality of food. The food they don't lack money to eat. So what people use money, those kind of borrowed money, actually for you to even borrow money, there is a perception in you that money is coming somewhere. So it's a get rich quick scheme that has come into your eyes. So you are thinking, okay, money, if I can just get this to fund this will now come in to substitute for this. But again, if you want to really look at what people borrow money for, it's not necessarily the essentials. It's not. A person that borrows from an app has a phone, an Android phone. You don't use 1 naira to buy that phone. You have a data. You were online. Where did you get that money to get data?
It could have been borrowed.
Yeah, you borrow data, right?
You borrow data.
You see, that's what I'm saying. So it's in your character to borrow.
You see the way that question was? Wherever your answer was, it would have hooked you.
So it's in your character to borrow. It's because you are a borrower that you borrow money. Not because, it's not that you've borrowed money so people now say you're a borrower. No, it is who you are. Other people could have been in that instance and they did something else differently. So I personally don't believe that it's because of the economy, that even before the economy got to this point, people were still borrowing. there are people that even in the heat of this economy, they don't borrow. Why you have that as an option in your mind is because you have been thinking of something quicker. Because you could have gotten into a tight economic situation and you think something else. You could have thought of expanding your source of income. Why borrowing? And some people that even borrow don't even have the option of paying. In short, they don't even have the intention of paying. I saw something online, very very funny. Let me not mention the tribe. A guy, the loan app people call him. So they were asking him, how are you? He said, oh, so you are now a doctor. You are now asking me how I am. I'm fine. So they told him, when are you paying your loan of so amount? He said, I'm not paying that loan. Do what you want to do. You see? Now, people don't pay with the option. People don't borrow with the option of paying back. And again, he said something that people, there was something he said that made it try to negate the fact that you shouldn't even borrow. Yeah, there are times
that you should not borrow for consumption.
Yeah. Thank you. But we shouldn't necessarily play down on borrowing. Borrowing can help. I have been in positions that I could be in a medical position that it wasn't planned. And I just reached out to a few people, and that also makes me question most of this narrative that people have. They say, don't give people money that you cannot get back. It's true.
Money that you cannot let go.
Money that you cannot let go. It's true. I have been in tight position and I ask people for money I know they cannot let go. And they are giving me not because they can let that money go, but because they know Etido needs this money.
And they're ready to risk it.
So you can be in those positions that you know this your friend, if he or she doesn't get this money, he's done. And you can, in short, you can even sell a part of your stuff to raise that money for them. So life could put us in situations that we just need to borrow. Not that you are borrowing because that's your last option. Sometimes the money you're expecting could even come late. And that's the worst part that anybody could be. Money coming, having money that you cannot access, and when you need it urgently. So I think that's my view.
Okay. So I'm going to be moving over to my the wonderful guest that we have here. Barrister, are you with us?
I am.
Okay. So I need us to understand, at what point does using or having this loan apps or loan agents, at what point do they become loan sharks?
What's a shark?
Okay.
That's a question.
Okay.
A shark can be like any other sea creature. A loan shark is one that actually goes wild. And of course, Etimbuk, right? We talked about that. For him, loans might not be very necessary. Real businessmen will be somewhere laughing at him, because for them, loan is a necessary part of investment.
Yeah, I said I borrow for investment, not consumption.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's understood. The many people that go for the kind of loan that online loan sharks go after, and, sometimes they seem like they borrow for urgent necessities. At least the research that we have made shows globally. And it's not something peculiar to Nigeria. So usually they just, borrow small money that seems small. The loan sharks go for they go for a bite when the interest rate has accumulated and gotten out of reach for those people to be able to pay. And the government is against that for several reasons. There is regulation in lending. In fact, even at the elementary level, there's a Money Lenders Act. And the Money Lenders Act licenses individuals to lend money at a controlled interest rate. Now, the loan sharks, because they are not licensed, they go overboard to charge interest rate that is way beyond, in fact, whereas the CBN rate could be like 12 to 13% per annum, loan sharks charge as much as 75%.
Sorry, sir, hold on. Let me come in there. Did you say that loan apps are not licensed?
Some of them are not licensed.
But there are some that are.
But they are operating.
But there are some that are licensed.
Some are licensed, but you know what? Sometimes, just like in normal human ventures, people are authorized to do some things, but they can cross certain lines. Okay. It is subject to the regulators to now check whether this person has crossed boundaries. I mean, as an aside, haven't you heard of NAFDAC authorizing certain waters, but over time, or certain food and drugs, but over time, because the production processes have not been monitored, they go overboard. So, yes, loan apps, because of the virtual nature, they are readily available to people, individuals. But then you look at it, just like Etido said, they exploit people's greed. They advertise way beyond what is approved. They work on your psychology. You don't want the money. They are telling you, come and take. Just a click of the button. In 24 hours, we can give you 250,000 naira.
Click, 20 minutes.
So they exploit your greed. And so if you did not even have such a tendency, you won't fall for it. But if you have a tendency to take some money that you would not readily pay for, or you just, in fact, sometimes, because there's no full disclosure, the borrower is not even aware of the back-end charges that would be making the money to quickly blow up. So before you turn around in about 30 days to 45 days, you probably borrowed 35,000 naira. In about 45 days, you are due to pay about 70,000. It can be that crazy. And so there has been a number of penalties and sanctions against these organizations. And especially also they cross the boundaries when they begin to tamper with people's privacy. They give you certain forms to fill. But just like when you want to download an app and it asks you whether you should you accept access to your contact, you click yes. Once you do that, it opens up a certain portal. Okay? As a technology law expert, I know that as you just accept, it gives them access to certain portals. That's how they get your contact. It will also ask you, do you approve access to your camera? Once you say yes, it gives you access to your camera. It gives them access to your camera immediately. So even if, although they take your passport photograph, but even if they don't, access to your camera means they can spy on you.
Sir, please, a quick one too. I mean, is it legal for them to ask you if you should give them permission to your contact list? Because I think that's the point they are now reaching out to the people you know, so whether they are asking them or they are castigating you, anyone. But the point I'm asking is it legal for them to ask for that permission? And again, it's not as if you are willingly giving them contact, the access to your contact, because without giving them that access, the process doesn't be given, right? So is it legal for someone to request access? Well, I would just think since it's a request and you've accepted, then that makes it legal, right?
I think that you've answered the question. It's legal. The question is, what do they do with that information? Prior to this time, the Nigerian Data Protection Act, it has just been passed. Over the past couple of, within the last 3 to 5 years. But before now, people did not readily, it was not readily, there was no, provision for data protection. But right now with the Nigerian Data Protection Act, it means that when you provide your data, like in the regular commercial banks, there's a KYC, know your customer. Okay? You're supposed to know your customer, and you cannot use the information that you know about your customer unless there are extreme cases. But these fellows, they are not supposed to use it to defame you. But they go that far because, like some people say, it's most unprofessional for them to reach third parties. If you ask for your neighbors, even your neighbor, even your father passes, God forbid, but no bank will give you information about your father because those details are peculiar to him. You need to go to a court and get a form before they will fill that form, because it's now coming from the court, authorizing you to take processes to get a letters of administration. So loan apps, when they ask you for your information or that of your contact, yes, you can give it to them, but the law stops them from using that information against you, because by that they have crossed a certain line and they have gone into defamation.
So at what point should they use it?
They're only supposed to use it to contact you let's say the information is more like you saying, like they ask you who is your next of kin for regular banks.
Okay.
And you divulge the information as to who is your next of kin. They only would use that detail. They use that detail to reach your next of kin to say, oh, this person needs your help. Can you really come to us so that we can tell you what help the person needs? Okay. It's not even for the person to lay claims to your funds. No.
Okay, but you talked about defamation.
Yes. Defamation is when your image and your reputation has been spoiled as a result of the way they have used that information or data about you.
But if what they are saying is true, is this still defamation?
If what they are saying about you is true,
yes.
Whether it's still defamation?
Yes.
That's up to them. One of the elements of defamation
that is false.
It's lies. Like, that's what.
Justification, right? You mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if what they are saying is true, is that still defamation? If I say that this person took money from me and did not pay, like the people that, okay, let me say this. Loan apps have called me before with regard to someone who borrowed money from them. And I don't think they crossed the bounds. Like everything they told me was true. This person took money and has not paid. Please talk to him, let him pay us. That's basically it. Is that still defamation?
It is defamation to the extent that when this person signed contract with them, he did not volunteer that they should contact you. Why were you supposed to know about what money they took? Are you supposed to be a referee? Of what business of yours is that? I usually get back to them and say, excuse me, you are defaming this person to me because you want this person's reputation to drop in my estimation that I should start seeing this person differently. Of what business of mine is that? I'm not supposed to know about it. I was not privy to the loan. I was not an undertaker that, okay, if this person defaults, I will pay. The moment they begin to reach a third party who did not undertake to be part of that transaction, that's defamatory. It's a very subtle one.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I had to allow you people express yourself for a while. But, when we look at this conversation, there's also something in the ages, like in the early days, they called the Shylock concept, which was the pound of flesh. But then, just like then, it's still a controversy about the fact that you clicked the agreement. You agreed to pay the loan at a stipulated time for a stipulated, even the amount to be paid at what percentage or what interest rate and all whatnot. So if you had accepted all these terms, why and how does it become exploitation? So I'm going to bring that to you, Barrister.
It becomes exploitation once it has crossed the mark of acceptable, licensable, if there is anything like that, licensable, acceptable limit of interest rates. Because
even when the customer had accepted it.
Now, yes, the issue is this. The reason why interest rates is regulated is because, by human psychology and the terms of marketing and business.
People could want to exploit others.
People could want to exploit others. And also, there is a limit within which certain businesses should be able to produce the money to enable you pay. Okay. Lower percentage rates. Okay, look at it for instance. The reason why central bank fixes interest rate is because they know that it's regulated. In fact, in sane economies, interest rates are announced. Yeah. Okay, with interest rates has increased to 15%, or interest rate is now 10%. Or interest rates. In fact, banks or financial institutions who give lower interest rates attract more customers because people want to maximize their profit. But the moment the interest rate is so high or was hidden behind the terms and conditions, which is supposed to be disclosed to the customer, at the point that there was no full disclosure, there is exploitation.
Okay.
Should I say that again?
Yes, please.
Once there was no full disclosure, so that this person is not aware that this is how high the interest rate is, or that is going to be, the interest is going to compound. When they are compounding the interest, tendencies are to be so much beyond the person's reach. In fact, I've had incidences where people have, come to our law firm to seek legal advice. And we've said, okay, you want to take a loan? Ask your account officer to do a full breakdown of what the interest would be within a 6-month period. Full disclosure. So they break it down. And we've had instances when, after it had been done, a financial expert looks at it and said, this is so high. Can you now tell them to, check this and this stages? And even when there is default, they sometimes negotiate in such a way that everything is collapsed to the barest minimum that the person would be able to pay. But for these loan sharks, because they are desperate and also because it is unregulated to a large extent, they tend to cash in on the ignorance of the individuals that took loan from them. I mean, there are incidences where someone saw his obituary published by the loan sharks company.
Oh, wow.
The company that owns the loan app. And he said, oh, really? What? Okay, I'm dead. Now, at least I've screenshot this. You people have declared me dead. So since I'm dead, you will never get that money again. Now, what that entails is that because the person is dead and this loan was a personal loan, they cannot cross over to the person's estate. They were now the ones begging, please, okay, we are sorry, please, just pay us the money. Okay, can you pay half? Then we'll now whittle down the remainder for you to pay. So they go to such extreme measures. The reason why they come after your reputation is because they feel that, for instance, the ones in Nigeria, I have heard a documentary where they said that the Nigerian environment does not make for ethical recovery. Sometimes the people that recover these loans are different from the app owners. Did you know that?
Yes, they are literally agents.
Yes, they are agents. So the agents use extreme measures, anything that would even touch on the reputation of the borrower, so that the borrower would by all means feel embarrassed and pay. And they are ready to cross those lines.
Okay.
When you talked about full disclosure in respect of interest rates.
Yes.
Sorry that I'm asking plenty questions around this
it's okay.
Defamation thing. I'm a media personnel and we deal big on defamation. So I earlier asked whether if what they're saying is true, that still qualifies as defamation. And you said, well, they didn't say that if you default, they're going to call a third party, so that's still defamation. What if one of the terms and conditions clearly spelled out? Because I spoke with someone who has taken a loan before from an app, and they clearly told him that if he defaults, that why they are asking for access to his contacts is that if he defaults, they are going to call these people. They told him, and so when he defaulted, they called. Is that still defamation?
I will answer that question by giving you an illustration. Airlines, for instance, state terms and conditions on their slip. Now, the law is that if it is not prominent enough for this person to fully understand and see before signing, then it is deemed that there was deception embedded into the transaction.
Prominent enough in terms of the font size?
Font size, yes, it becomes a factor. So you said they clearly told him. Was it in writing? Or will it be your word against mine?
And apart from that, I mean, another thing I wanted to ask, telling me, does it mean it's legal?
But if you accept it.
No. It's just like you going to the market to buy some. Hold on. It's just like you going to the market to buy something and the market women just skyrocket the price. And they say, we didn't force him to buy. There should be a regulation for pricing in the market.
Well,
so for me to accept in my ignorance or greed doesn't mean
he has already said that this loan app industry, so to speak, is not regulated.
No, I did not say that. I said some are not regulated.
Yeah.
So there are players that have not. Okay, so what does the regulation mean here?
What does the regulation mean?
I think I asked about licensing, not even regulation.
Yes, licensing, but he talked about regulation.
Regulations here means that they have been given license to play by the rules. Now, this is it. You know a couple of virtual banks that are authorized. You don't have the addresses, scattered everywhere like the commercial banks do. And some of them are in fact doing business so much that, to a large extent, except for the minimum deposit that is required by the central bank, the issue of going overboard in the name of being a commercial practitioner, commercial finance practitioner, it's not only in Nigeria, in Europe. In fact, type loan shark, Google it, you will be shocked that the bulk of those that will pop up will be those that are even happening in US.
I know.
And they have been, their houses are broken, into because the authorities have received, approval from the courts to go after them. And they go after them, bust their houses and said, we are coming to arrest, you are under arrest for illegally practicing, financial lending and doing it in such a way that is not authorized. There are two things there. Either they are authorized, in which case, because they know that they have been licensed to do it, they will play by the rules. Or they are unauthorized. And in that case, they are illegally coming into the industry just to make quick money, and then they begin to cross boundaries.
Okay, so let's assume that they are authorized. And then they tell you, as part of the conditions for taking this loan, we need to have access to your contacts, because part of our strategy for getting the money back is that if you default, we'll call your contacts. When they call, they're not necessarily lying against you. They are not necessarily saying things that you did not do. They're just informing your contacts that this person is owing us, and we know that he's your friend. Please tell him to pay us. And that was clearly spelled out, and you knew that was it. Because I know that many people who take these loans, maybe because of the pressure of necessity, many people who take these loans know that they know it, that when they default, their people will be called. At least they have seen it. They have seen it happen to other people. But my point is, if they are clearly told, I'm not even saying that you are relying on the fact that they have seen it happen to other people, but they are clearly told that this is what happens when you default, and they sign and agree. Does that still qualify for defamation when they go ahead?
Yes, two things have gone wrong there. I can tell you this because I have seen the consumer protection law policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria in particular. It clearly states, for instance, and I can say here that yours sincerely has been opportune to recover loans for certain commercial banks. The CBN does not permit you to call someone for recovery, to call the owner, the person that is owing you, from 6 p.m. You cannot place that call. So, loan companies, whether they are virtual or physical, are not permitted to reach across to third parties. If they insert that kind of conditions, it is illegal. It's illegal to the extent that a contract, there's something called privity of contract. Privity of contract, because it can be tripartite or quad, 4 people or 3. It's between me and you. It's our business. And so you cannot threaten me with, I'm going to call this person and report.
Now,
so I know that the CBN policy, which I've gone through, does not make, there is not a single one line or clause that says that you can report to a third party.
The point I wanted to make, which I still have those reservations, is even if the person in question agrees, does it make it legal? Someone could still agree
out of ignorance of the law.
Out of ignorance or out of greed.
Or out of greed or out of desperation.
Yeah, desperation.
Out of desperation.
So,
can that be held against him in court that he agreed?
Now, let me tell you something. Before a lender begins to take such extreme measures, like I said, the motive behind it is very significant. And when they give non-collateralized loans, okay, it is expected that they should have a guarantor.
Okay.
To the extent that the law permits, the best they can do is to go after that guarantor.
Not even the person.
And that guarantor, you cannot be a guarantor in ignorance. You have to consciously decide.
The guarantor must have been informed of the consequence of being in violation. That's why they always put a caution in red. Please do not guarantee a person that you do not know properly. So even for virtual banking, I do not believe that I'm not a guarantor and then you suddenly start coming after me. I have seen occasion, I think there was one or two, where they said, this person mentioned you as one of their person and said we could ask you upon default. I cannot be a guarantor in absentia.
That's what I'm saying.
It's unacceptable. It crosses the line of the ethics of lending and borrowing. The financial industry is regulated. It cannot go against human common sense. That's what I'm saying. And to that extent, they become loan sharks when they go to bite.
Okay. So I think we need to start running through this. So, but Barrister, you've put out on this part where we would need to know or get proper enlightenment about knowing if a debtor, that is in this case, those who are unable to pay these loans at the stipulated times, if they truly have protection rights.
Yes, they do. They do have protection rights. Although my worry is that...
And then, if they do have protection rights, what happens to... Who bears the brunt?
Okay, so this is what is happening. As of 2021, over 1,200 calls and complaints were made about from people who complain that they have been violated one way or the other in the course of loans being taken. Either there were third parties being called for complaints from from financial institutions. And so it's been documented that this is the number of people that have called. Over 1,200 calls have been made. Now, because of that, the CBN has been working with, other organizations to ensure that the loan financial institutions are held accountable. In fact, in instances, some of them have been tried. I think I wrote a name for one, Socho or something. There are a number of them that were. The other one was whether fair money. A number of them have been indicted, given sanctions of up to 10 million, 15 million to pay for crossing the line in the course of their business. Some have been shut down. And some, to the extent that
to pay to the people that borrowed from them.
Now that's where I'm coming to. What happens is that they pay as penalty to the government.
Okay.
Apart from the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which many states have domesticated to become Administration of Criminal Justice law. There's really no provision for the individual that has been affected to benefit directly.
Oh, wow. So,
why? Now, but see, I was still coming. The Administration of Criminal Justice law of many states who have copied Lagos has now provided for some compensation for the person affected. But that is only if these individuals are charged under that law. Outside of that, if these individuals are charged for a violation of privacy, the Consumer Protection Act or law, as the case may be, does not make provision for taking care of the victim of these loan apps.
Okay, so now this is like the grand finale, or will I say the bonus question? And that will be, we've been talking about hunting the sharks and putting them in their place. But if we keep saying, or how will I put it? If we're all about hunting the sharks, who's going to hunt and checkmate the trespassers? Which means the loan taker who just takes loan indiscriminately with no plans of paying back. Well, before the barrister says that, I need you, Timbuk, to say something.
Yeah,
if we're hunting the sharks, who should hunt the trespassers?
Very interesting question, because I mean that in as much as we want to be mad at the loan apps, we have established, at least both of you have agreed, that these loans could be necessities, and
some of them,
and the loan apps have helped people to solve serious problems. Really. So they've and these are people that if they ran to even their closest friends, they wouldn't have been able to give them the money in short notice. True. And even if they were to go to commercial banks, the process of processing those loans could be so cumbersome. And so these guys have provided a platform where people get access to money very easily, and so we must be careful not to also tilt the narrative to look like they are always the victims. I think that people also exploit them.
They do.
That's true. People also exploit them. People also go intentionally taking loans that they do not plan to pay.
Yes.
Like they do not even, they're in their minds as they are taking it, they are not planning to pay at all. I know someone that told me that the only reason he pays the loan is when he's planning to borrow another one. And he knows that if he didn't clear the first one, he will not be able to get another one. That now compels him. But when he knows that he will not need this app again, to him it is done. And I think that is being unfair too. In as much as we want to encourage the loan apps to get properly licensed, stay within the confines of the law, it's important to also admonish people who borrow us. Number one, don't borrow except you really, really, really need it.
Yes.
And then number two, if you borrow, make sure that you prioritize paying. Especially the earlier you pay, the better, because the more you delay, the more the thing accumulates, the interest rate. We've talked about the fact that the interest rates may be indiscriminate and all of that. But the fact is, if you pay early, you don't even fall into that situation where you have to deal with so much. I think that, like we've said, the loan apps, the calling of people and embarrassing people and defaming people is an extreme measure. Really, many times it's because they have gone to the point that they have convinced themselves that this money is almost a bad debt. Like money that is almost certain that they may not get it again. So they start resorting to extreme measures. So, but if people are faithful, take the loans that they only when they really need it, and they are committed to paying. And because sometimes, because it's not, if it's your neighbor and you see your neighbor is owing you 15,000 naira and he goes to buy a new car, you will even hold him and say, guy, you have not been able to pay me my money, you're going to buy a car. But there's anything virtual, there's this illusion of they don't know me, I don't know them.
Exactly.
And it's the same reason people hide on, it's the same thing that empowers cyberbullying. Because people hide under the fact that the people that they're talking to, things that they cannot say face to face. If they saw the person face to face, they will never have the courage to say it. But they will go and write it in the comment section of someone's post. Because of the anonymity that is characteristic of social media interactions. So I think that if people are responsible, it will also help us. Don't put yourself. These people may be doing something criminal, something that they can be sued for. But why expose yourself to that? Whether they are doing something criminal or not, the damage that could be done to your reputation can be redeemable. Even if you go to court, someone pressure, someone may plan to do business with you, and the trust, your credibility is critical. And then just at that time, a loan app calls and says, this person is this person is that, and that costs you a very important deal.
That's true.
So don't even put yourself in that situation. So that's the point.
So Etido, what about you? If we're hunting down sharks, who's hunting down the trespassers?
First of all, where I really want to start talking about is, trust me, most times, emergency is, should I say objective now or subjective? I feel it's a personal thing. What subjective, you call so what you call emergency may not truly in its sense be an emergency. Let's say it's for
a matter of perspective.
Let's say for instance I go on a date and I just realized that the lady I'm with has ordered beyond what I have to pay. So I quickly go on the loan app and
and borrow to clear your name so that you don't shame yourself.
At that point, as a greedy guy and as someone that is
proud person, because
proud person, I'm just an egoistic person. I don't want the lady to see me as this guy is not ready for me. So at that point, it's an emergency to me. But in its true sense, is that really an emergency? It's not. Again, if most of our youth can delay
gratification,
gratification, I think that's a problem. They want to get everything now. That's why I say people don't lack money to eat. Really, they don't. Someone has food and you are borrowing 20, 100,000, 50,000 an emergency. What other emergency do you have apart from shelter, clothing, and food? There is no other emergency.
Or medical emergency.
Yeah, no, like I'm not, those are not days.
On a normal day.
But if you really want to run a research on what people borrow money for, it's hardly what, like it can't even validate why they borrow. So while we are, just like what Etimbook has said, while we are trying to clamp down on these loan sharks, quote and unquote, I feel we shouldn't even put ourselves in those positions that people would need to call our loved ones, defame our character. Do you know that loan apps have psychologists in their team?
Okay.
I'm serious.
Yes, they do.
They monitor your lifestyle. Now, when they are running a Facebook ad or any ad at all, they are not just giving it to people that appear conservative and reserved online.
The target people they know that can easily fall for it.
Thank you. Now, if you are a digital marketer, you would understand that Facebook gives you options on target audience. Someone said something jokingly, John Obidi, and I would quote, he says, Facebook can comfortably predict people that would likely fall in love within 6 months on Facebook.
Just by studying
your
posts.
Thank you.
The kind of things you talk about.
The things you post, the not just post actually, your likes. So they look at the things you like. Okay, this guy could he's or she is prone to like flashy things. See the kind of pictures. Now, Facebook is getting all those data, not to keep for themselves. They are getting it to give to anybody that can pay. Now, how Facebook exchange data is that when you want to pay for an ad, Facebook now gives you that information. So these guys when people are paying for an ad, they are basically paying Facebook for the data that they can use. So when you see most of these ads popping up, I don't think any of us here, those ads will come up consistently. But there are people that every time they go online, the ad must come. And again, you know how the algorithm works. Just by you making some calls or liking a particular post away from Facebook, even searching, or even if you like some things on Facebook, the moment you come on Google to search, let's say you like the Y podcast video. When you come on Google to search the suggestion is going to bring to you
Y
have Y. So they are linking everything but to Instagram, Twitter, Google, TikTok, Facebook together. So even on your phone, let me shock you. I have been in the gym with a particular girl for about 2 weeks. We just met at the gym. Do you know the next week, Facebook brought up that girl as a suggestion of a friend on Facebook. I don't have her number. I didn't have her anywhere. So when we now went online, she said, "What do you do?" I said, "How?" He said, "Facebook brought you up as a suggestion." I was like, "Oh yeah, it can happen. Maybe you have my number." He said, "No, I don't have your number." So I thought she had even got my number, but she didn't get my number.
You think it's the location on your phones that...
Thank you. Now, from that location, Facebook sees that we have been in a particular location at a particular time together.
And they suspect that you could know each other.
Thank you. Not just suspect. Facebook is even telling you, how far would you like to be friends with this girl? You get? So these are information that Facebook has and can sell to the highest bidder. So these loan apps, they don't just come and make random ads. No. They have psychologists to study a particular lifestyle. So when they are going on their target audience, there is a place for lifestyle. So they know people that would like flashy things, people that could be spontaneous with their decisions. Yes, and that's why the loan app just come and see the content of those ads. You don't need collateral, you don't need this, 500,000, you solve your problem. Now, you see how easy it comes. Yeah. You can't see that continually for 5 times and you are in a pressing situation and you don't click. And the moment you click, now that particular loan app, I don't know whether they have a bond. They now share your data with another loan app. So if you are leaving this one out of sheer maturity, another one comes up with a more juicy offer. So most of these things, I feel, is the kind of information most of us have shared online. You are going to Lagos and you are in APs or Ibom A.
And you snap. And post.
Location, you share location, Lagos on point, Dubai on my mind. This one, I'm eating this now. Shawarma on my now these guys are picking this, so all those things build your preferred impression. So they're like, this guy is prone to do this. So the same way you are swiping on videos on your reels, you don't have to tell them the next video to come.
Yeah.
From the way you are now, your watch time on that video is sending a signal to them too. So you had other videos you use 5 seconds. Some particular videos you use 1 minute. And your replay time too. And you are share, you are saved. So the things you like, the things you share, and most importantly, the things you comment and stay on that comment. So they use those ones to know what you are likely to accept and push those narratives.
All right, Mr. Tido, I think we should allow Barrister to sum it up.
Someone said that the devil does not tempt you with beans if you don't like this. So, in a way, if you want to catch a rat, you use what it likes. And then sneak in some poison there. I agree with Tito that they actually use bets. You know, the algorithm of bets to attract you to know what to click. Nobody will be flaunting 45,000 before to borrow now. I mean, it's way beyond that. And you know, the rest of you too. Nobody will be flaunting small money. But picture this as we round up. Mr. A has a wife who is heavily pregnant and a little daughter that falls from a stool and cracks the face. Okay? And so while they're rushing this child to the hospital, the landlord may not be aware of it. But Mr. A is not expecting his salary till, say, the 25th. And this is 18. The landlord is mounting pressure. He did not expect to spend like 50,000 naira on searches and a whole lot of things. And his rent is due. Can he plead with the landlord to wait to pay his rent? And then again, the wife is almost due. Can he borrow money, knowing that his salary would unfailingly come on the 25th? Those are the things that push people to make those kind of moves. Whether you consider that an emergency or not, those are the kind of pressure that people can be put into.
And sorry, somebody said something. He said, don't spend the money you've not yet seen.
Good. And I saw a lady that said she just borrowed whether 36,000 naira. And before she knew what was happening, she was expected to pay between 60 something. And even when the money comes, she said she was expected to get her salary and just pay. But when the money comes, there were multipliers, you know, other things that she needed to catch up with to pay. And so before she knew
it's one of the reasons
it spiraled out of her control.
It's one of the reasons I don't borrow.
So when she
back is
when she eventually got out of it, she was like, lie.
Finish now.
She now constituted herself into salvaging others in similar situations. So that's the way life plays out.
All right. Well, indeed, that's how life plays out, and that includes the realities and the pressures we're subjected to. Well, anyway, we've asked the questions and we've given our perspective. So it's up to you now to form opinions, broaden your perspectives, and hopefully do not be caught in the waters that have all these sharks. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Timbuk, Tido,
Thank you
Barrister,
so much.
I hope you make out some time to visit.
Thank you. Yes, I
All
will.
right. So this is amazing, saying thank you very much, and make sure to keep watching, following, subscribing, and also clicking the post notification to watch the latest and updates from this zone. From me, you take care.